Yo, yo, what's good? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to Answering the Bell with Stormybman, our Sunday morning call in for this Sunday, October 30th, 2022. And we are back. This is number 60 in the series of call-ins. We would be way ahead in count, maybe by another 7 or 8, if I hadn't taken some time off and, various things hadn't come up. But for 60 shows, we are truly in the running of consistency. I am glad to see you guys out there joining me this morning. You could be doing a lot of different things on a Sunday morning. But for those of you who have decided to tune in and check me out, I really appreciate it, and I get excited to come out and present content to you because I enjoy this sport as much as you guys do. And when we have weekends where the bouts have come out and given us some entertainment like yesterday, it's worth taking the time out and talk about it a little bit. So that's what that's all about. And we are here this morning for more of the same. For those of you who caught the post-fight show last night and are back this morning, salute to you all. For those of you that caught the early post-fight show that I did right after the Katie Taylor card, salute to you as well. The post-fight shows are very successful, that people want to hear breakdowns and comments and commentary on the action that they just took in. Sometimes I try to keep things a little light and humorous. Other times I'll go in if something has happened. But this past weekend, I don't think that the officials interfered as much as they can from time to time, which made these events a little more digestible, But that Vasily Lomachenko fight, some of the scorecards there, come on, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So again, boxing just can't get it all together 1,000%. Always got to have something. Always got to have something. It reminds me of some of those Hong Kong triad movies that I watch. And typically the story goes that everything could be cool and on the level, but somebody has always got to step outside the line. You know what I mean? Go against the grain, break the rules, and then war starts. It never fails. And boxing is just like that, man. I tell you, there's not a better comparison for real life in a so-called business / sport / entertainment industry like the sport of boxing. And death does occur. No kidding. No pun intended on that. Death occurs in boxing. So it kind of channels life a lot more than we may acknowledge. Isn't that the truth? But we are here to talk some boxing this morning. See, we got a few of you guys out there. I'm going to take a moment and kind of go back and do a roll call. If I can get my screen together here. Let's see what we got. We had from the tippy top. I just want to make sure everything is lined up properly. Yeah, from the tippy top there, we had Jose Diaz out there saying, good morning, Stormy in chat. Jason William back with us saying peace, Stormy B, and peace to the chat. G5 Gabe in the building saying salute Sensei Stormy B Man and the chat family. Andrew Gray saying peace with those emojis. 512 Boxing, aka Big Texas, in the building. He says salute OG. 704 Joe is in the building saying let's get ready to rumble. Good morning. Smash the like button. It's free, and peace to the gods. And T-Berry is out there with us with those Jackie Chan emojis. Yes, sir. He says peace, Stormybman in chat. Yeah, man. So how did you guys enjoy those fights yesterday? Were you all able to catch all 3 cards or split the 2 in the evening? Or I enjoyed it. I watched the Katie Taylor fight card on DAZN. She put on a workwoman-like performance out there and got the job done against that tough woman from Argentina, Karen Carbajal. And Karen could box, man. It's just that Katie was a little more seasoned in being able to be more diversified in her approach. She could be aggressive. She could move around. She could, be on the backfield a little bit. She could rumble, give angles, roll with shots so they don't land cleanly and stuff. Katie showed a lot of skills in there, and that she was just a cut above that woman. But the woman was tall, rangy, taller than Katie, more rangy, and didn't really know how to use those attributes when it came to being in close. And that was the difference in the fight. But she was tough. She was there to rumble. And, she was giving a wholehearted effort there. It wasn't a cakewalk. A lesser fighter could have succumbed to Miss Carbajal, because Carbajal, and the victories that she had in her 19 wins, though she only had 2 KOs, Carbajal could box. And you could see where some of those victories that she had, they were unanimous decisions. I'm looking through my scorecards here because I'm looking for something specific. There was another women's bout, super bantamweight bout on the DAZN card that featured a hometown girl in Ellie Scottney, and she took on Mary Romero, who was the champion there. And Romero, who was a little bit older and more seasoned, Scottney came out there and boxed that woman. I mean, Scottney put on a real good display of boxing. I liked what I saw from her. Women's boxing is really taking a surge forward, guys. And if the men don't get their acts together, what we're going to see is consistent complaint about what the men do or do not do and get done to the max. And the women will continue to ascend. And you have no one to blame but yourself, the men of boxing. So just understand that. We got Flawless Mentality, Dr. Mark, in the building. He says, salute to the God, the sensei, Stormybman, my brother from another mother, fam, and the gods and beautiful goddesses of the mighty LDBC, answering the bell family. Salute to you, Dr. Mark. Good to see you this morning. Kind of Local Sports in the building saying salute to you. T-Berry says, I watched some of the ESPN card and watched the Loma fight this morning. Yeah. I listened to a little bit of Black Fight Fans replay of his post-fight last night. Man, Black Fight Fan be going hard for Lomo, man. Y'all better not say nothing about Lomo in Black's presence. Otherwise, he gonna embarrass you. You know what I'm saying? It was funny. He was going back and forth with Cece on it. It's like, man, Cece was like, he lost. Man, I tell you, it's great to have the brothers and sisters of the community out here, man. And we all, you know, people say we have narratives and agendas. No, we don't. We have our own minds and we think like we want to think, man, which is what makes it great. And it is very entertaining too when we can express ourselves out here for your pleasure. But yeah, man, what a day of fighting. I mean, boxing went from here in my time, it went from almost 10 o'clock in the morning on through 11 o'clock at night. And that's because, you know, the Zone has this show they do called Before the Bell, which they show a lot of the deep undercard fights. Remember when the Zone was originally putting all the fights on the live card and you would fall asleep? It was like they had 20 fights on the card, man. And we were like, what the hell is up with these long fight cards? And it was, you know, something that they finally realized, oh, we could do this a different way. And then they started breaking it up. So if you want to watch all the young guys and ladies that are prospects and everything just turning pro, you know, 5 fights or less, is okay. You can tune in and catch some of that. But they were actually putting all of that on a live card show, right? And you have to sit there for hours and hours. People were falling asleep. People was turning it off. People were disgusted. Do you guys remember that in the early stages of the Zone? Yeah, they had those long fight cards. And people were like, what the hell is going on with this? The main event fighters, they wouldn't even come to the stadium like 4 hours later. So you had 4 hours of undercard and all this stuff going on, and you like, man. And could you imagine being at the stadium? You done went to the bathroom 20 times, had lunch and dinner there. Shit. Oh, man. Y'all ain't listening to me, man. It's like, it was funny, though. It was so funny that they were doing that mess. Man. Y'all don't remember that. Yeah, I remember that. We got MPWTF in the building saying salute Sensei, salute to the chat family. Kinda Loco says Cece was on fire last night. And she was right too. Yeah, they would go. And when she was trying to go and make her points, Kinda Loco, Black was like, let me read the super chat. He's like, hey, can I, wait a minute, let me read these super chats. That's like saying shut up, you know. Man. But yeah, man, we here for another one, man. We here for another one. Sunday morning, call in. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys are feeling good. For me, it's going to be the start of another work week tomorrow. I was like, you know, I can find all kinds of excuses why not to go in. My big toe hurt. Put something up there entertaining for you guys. Let's see. Put something entertaining on the backdrop for you guys while we have our morning conversation. Kano says, I love that live from Black last night because, like you said, it shows we all have a mind of our own. Yeah, man. That's just like my Tuesday tussle I did a couple weeks ago on Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgartner. I do not dislike Alicia Baumgartner, but I felt like she didn't win that fight. But it's like a lot of people love the fact that she won. They wanted her to win. A lot of people love her, period, because they think she's attractive and all of that. Man, I don't care about all of that stuff. Beauty fades, huh? Boxing is forever. You know what I'm saying? So I loved their competitive fight. But I also felt like both ladies didn't step up to really, show who wanted that fight the most. They could have had a big rumble in the last couple of rounds and let someone decide with their blows, with their fists, who should win. Now, when Clarissa fought Savannah Marshall, she left no stone unturned when it came down to that. Clarissa was like, this is mine. You understand? And she fought like it. And she garnered a great deal more respect from detractors because she laid it on the line. How many times? You can even say maybe in the Lomachenko fight last night that Jermaine Ortiz, if he really, really wanted that fight, why didn't he go for it? It was his chance. You're on TV and everything. The worldwide leader in sports, right? Get your butt out there and lay it on the line. If you get knocked out yourself, you get knocked out. If you lose the decision, so what? People will remember. You remember that dude, Jermaine? But it's like he petered out and that was it. Hey, man. And you sitting in the post-fight, dark shades on. I thought I won. Man, we've seen the best in the sport get robbed on decisions. What make you think if the fight goes the distance, they gonna give it to you? No knockdowns, huh? None of that. It's like, really? Get out of here with that foolishness, man. Luis Hinton, I see you out there. Kano says, okay, I read that already. We got Flawless, he's saying Black was talking like he was expecting a check from Loma Camp. Hey, that's what Black does, man. Black says that, he endorses Loma. But this clip of White, though, huh? How about that? Man, I tell you, boxing is something else, ain't it? It's like there's no sport like this aside from maybe European football. European football and boxing are quite similar with their rabid fan base, huh? But I love I love this little clip of Dillian White getting stretched. Huh? I got another one I like. I got this one of Clarissa training, man. I like to watch her train more than I like to watch some fighters fight, man. This woman, she shadow boxes well. Look at her moving on her feet, shooting them punches out there. Wish we could get some of these dudes to be able to box like that, bro. Then I got my man. I told you guys when I did my live yesterday, and I was talking about Tim Tszyu and Mel Charlo fight coming up. I said I was going to take that sound bite from Mel and clip it and put it on my board. I love this, man. Check this out. This is a new entry for me.
Fucking with me, you gonna get knocked the fuck out. I'm a knockout artist, baby.
That's my man. I love that, bro. I love that.
Fucking with me, you gonna get knocked the fuck out. I'm a knockout artist, baby.
I got a couple more with him on there too. I'll wait till an appropriate time to play it, but yeah. See, Stormy be trying to, keep things where I keep you guys entertained too, I have my little strange wit about myself. But yeah. We'll get ready to open things up, man. Maybe open it up a little early today so you guys can start calling in and, expressing what's on your mind this morning. Yeah. Some kind of little flea or something flying around here. Whoa, what is that? Anyway, he must die. Well, we're going to open it on up. See if we can get some calls in this morning. We can talk about the fights from yesterday, or talk about some fights that's coming up. Whatever you guys, So the lines are officially open. Get something done. Okay, we got 518 in the building this morning. Believe that's K-Rod. What's good with you? Good morning.
Hey, how's it going, Stormy?
Good. What's happening with you?
Not much. I'm a little bit upset, but like I'm gonna try to, express it, on this call. From last night's fight.
What? So what's got you upset?
I'm upset that Jermaine lost. I thought he, destroyed Lomachenko. That was a good fight. I'm not being biased just because I'm repping for my bloodline, but I'm just saying, as a fellow black brother, I'm gonna stand up for my people. But Jermaine did a good job. I really wish he stayed southpaw throughout that fight to beat Loma. I think even if I were to picture inside my head, that's what I would have done, because Lomachenko looked to be the type of guy to get hurt more as a southpaw, and he doesn't scale well when he has a good southpaw in front of him. And I think Ortiz showed us the blueprint of what he did to outclass him. I think Lomachenko, he looked very hesitant. He looked like he had no idea what to do from the 7th round leading to the end, and I think Ortiz did enough to win, and the fight was competitive, and Lomachenko looked like he didn't want to be there.
Well, ring rust could have played a role in Lomachenko's performance, but even more than that, Lomo's getting older, man. And, he's the one that spent so much time fighting as an amateur so long. And now, which is why, I actually feel a little different about Ortiz's performance. I'm not angry Lomachenko got the decision. I'm more angry that the young man didn't seize the opportunity that was in front of him. Just look at it like this. What if today the headline was, from nowhere, Jermaine Ortiz comes out and stops Lomachenko inside the distance? What would that have done for his life, his career? He would be Buster Douglas 2022, right? It was like that. But you see the difference with people and how they, listen, you got to know, man. That's just like I gave the example of Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgardner. Now, they gave the decision to Alicia Baumgardner. I actually thought that Mayer did enough to win the fight, but neither of them went for broke to really assert themselves that I'm the woman tonight. I'm the woman. You got to whoop me. Neither one of them did that. So you leave it in the judge's hands. When you perform in a definitive manner, you make people take note of your performance. But when you're just there, you give them an opportunity to not acknowledge you for just showing up. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's a harsh lesson, man. That's why Sugar Ray Leonard was noted for being able to win the drama of a fight. He would do things within the last 30 seconds of a round to sway judges' opinion. He would do things within the middle of the fight or whatever to put himself in a position for acknowledgement. And you couldn't take that away from him. Yes, it could be theatrical. But as Larry Merchant used to say, boxing is like the theater of the unexpected. So if you have nothing to add to your performance to make people take note of you outside of the fact that you went the distance with the other guy, what are you doing that is special, that sets you aside? Now, to the common eye, from what I've experienced in everyone that's talking, that, you know, Jermaine should have got the decision. But how many times have we seen in boxing the decisions go poorly? And if one person who really should have got the decision had done just a little bit more, it could have sealed the deal for them. But we're living in a time where a lot of younger people have come up under that whole thing about participation trophy and have enjoyed life from that experience. When I was growing up, they didn't have participation trophy. They had winner only, and then everybody else lost. It went from that to first and second place and maybe a third place. And then after that, it became, let's just give everybody a medal for competing. To hell with that. Where is the incentive to allow for separation and for someone to have something to strive toward that sets them apart from anyone else? Where you get the acknowledgement, you get praise, you get the award, you get the trip to Disney World, you get all of these things, and other people can just sit back and be begrudging against it. But guess what? If you worked a little harder, if you fought a little tougher and stronger, if you poured more of yourself into your efforts, that could be you. And people would work harder. Nowadays, people look at the one that win and they be like, so? Didn't we just hear Bernard Hopkins like several months back speak during an interview with him when they were talking about Devin Haney having all the belts and being undisputed? Bernard had the gall to say, so what? Because he's promoting Ryan Garcia now, who hasn't been in a title fight yet, hasn't won a title, and probably never will. And it is his remarks that are dismissive of another man's accomplishments, just to make his fighter be okay in the sport. Isn't that participation trophy mentality? And Bernard Hopkins was an undisputed champion himself, who actually argued on the air against Larry Merchant, who criticized the number one mandatories he was fighting, that the sanctioning bodies were pushing up there for him to fight, just so they could get sanctioning fees from him. And because he had a contract with the network, Larry Merchant's trying to say, well, Bernard, don't you think people are going to get tired of watching you fight these type of fighters that don't belong in the ring with you? He was like, Larry, don't be ignorant. I worked hard for this hardware, and that's who they put out there. But I will fight whomever. I would love to fight all the guys you would want to see me to fight too. But if I don't fight these guys, they strip me of my titles. That wasn't that long ago. I remember it. I was watching that live. But they wouldn't say that about Canelo. They wouldn't say that about Vasily Lomachenko. They're not going to say it about Alexander Usyk. And you know what they all got in common. It's a shame. But people would get on here and argue with me and you and whoever else and just, create some kind of storm of misdirect. Because as long as you arguing over those trivial things, these other things are allowed to remain. And I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. Now, the important thing to understand about Mr. Jermaine Ortiz is this: what he does in his very next fight. He may go out there and lose. I'm not hoping or wishing that on him, but please pay very close attention to his next performance. Because if it's anything outside of a diamond shining performance, F+, get to the back of the class. Because he may show and prove that he didn't deserve the victory. Those are the kind of things that you look at, a real analysis and evaluation of where he is as a fighter. Because he sure didn't put it on display when it counted last night. It's not how you start out, it's how you finish. And you got to finish strong. It reminds me of that young man that dropped Tim Tszyu in that fight. And seemingly after that, he fought with his hands tied for the rest of the fight. It was almost like he was told, damn fool, we didn't expect you to do that. Don't win another round. It sure looked that way because he fought like his hands were tied. How are you going to drop the guy early in the fight with a simple 1-2, catch him coming in, and then don't attempt it again or try to follow up and get him out of there? That don't look suspect to you? Keep telling you, boxing isn't always what you think you're seeing. We got some more people that fell into the building. We got PGH Big Dog in the building. What's good with you, PGH? Ghost is out there. Big Dog Willie, Geo James, Khalil. Ghost says Jermaine threw that fight after the 7th to me. He didn't do that added little extra bit to get that decision. Finishing rounds strong, especially. Yep, didn't I just say that? Louis Hinton says no pizza party for losing. That's right. Antonio MMA, my brother's out there saying salute, Sensei. Salute to you. King Styles Productions out there saying salute, Stormybman. And chat, salute to you. Hamza S has joined us. Everybody else is saluting one another. Yeah. What else you got, K-Rod?
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the deciding factor. I think Jermaine just made it look harder than for what it had to be. He was doing a very good job, just fighting southpaw and giving Loma a multitude of problems. But I think he just let his foot off of the gas, and he wasn't keeping with the work rate high enough. And I think he was in the moment of being exhausted and somewhat pressured. But either way, I think he shows that he's able to be in there with some high level opposition. But yeah, you're definitely right. Next fight is gonna be telling because I think they're gonna start to look a lot better at bigger weights. But only time will tell. But as far as the other fights on the card, I was really shocked. Some of us up and coming rookie fighters like Abdullah Mason found it surprising that the referee didn't count a knockdown that he should have got from that Mexican kid that dropped him. But he looked okay. Not really too good, but he did a pretty good job. With forcing the TKO. But that was a decent performance. And same thing with Tiger and Troy Isley, but I wasn't really too impressed. They fought very hyper passive, and they didn't look too good.
I don't ever put too much stock into those young guys like that. I'll tell you why. When they put them on cards, they actually put them in matches where they're supposed to be showcased and featured to look the better. And even when they still have lackluster performances and everything, that ought to tell you more about the teaching that's going on with them in the gym more than what they actually are able to do in the ring. And so you could say a guy looked good, he looked bad, he looked, whatever. But understand, when they're fighting deep on those undercards like that, and they're getting a benefit that fighters from a generation and a half ago didn't get. They're getting the exposure that fighters a generation and a half ago didn't get. Let's say like when Floyd Mayweather started out in his career, that was the last generation that didn't get that benefit. If you weren't an Olympian or an outstanding amateur that got a good promoter behind you, you were buried deep on cards and people didn't know anything about you until you actually had a breakthrough and made some noise. These guys are benefiting from being on television because of the apps and things like this now. And we're seeing them in all their flaws and everything. But the bad part of it is the promoters are trying to build them as something to see when they're not really even schooled up yet, not even tooled up yet. And I tell you, it's like trying to watch stew boil. You put everything in the pot, you done put your seasonings and stuff in there. Now you turn the flame on low, because you don't turn it on high, and you wait for it to start boiling. Dude, I got other shit to do. And some of these guys are looking kind of bad. As they're boiling, you can't smell what's cooking. Some of these guys don't even know how to keep their damn hands up. But they can come out there looking kind of nice with their ring entrance attire and everything, right? The focus is all wrong. What was all that glitter and shit on Jermaine's shoes last night? Was he from the Wizard of Oz or what? If you could put that type of focus into your abilities and skill set that you use in the ring, you probably would be on to something. You worried about how you looking? You could be laying flat on your ass and people be looking at the soles of those shoes, and it won't make their difference. Now, most don't want to hear that, but I said it. The worst part of this, or what I'm saying, is you take that approach of what I just spoke about these guys being on paper that, oh, you're supposed to take care of this guy tonight, so don't worry, we got you. And you struggle. Then in the main event, you got fighters fighting guys that they really shouldn't be fighting because you want to see them fight other contenders and everything. You ever notice like nowadays contenders are just not fighting each other? So how do people move into a position of number one if the contenders are not picking one another off? Then you wonder, where did this number one mandatory come from that nobody knows? You just leapfrog over everybody that's been fighting but not fighting each other. When are you going to complain about that to these promoters and sanctioning bodies and say, hey, stop dealing us, the bull crap and send us something worthwhile? A lot of these guys, all they could say is that they got the opportunity, but they can't say anything about how they got there. I remember when Lennox Lewis was an amateur and he lost to Stevenson, he lost to Tyrell Biggs. You know what I mean? He had a rough go, but he stayed in the Olympics a little bit longer and he came out with gold in '88. Mike Tyson didn't stay in the Olympics or try to be in the Olympics till '88. He went pro. And because the heavyweight division was so apathetic and underachievers and drug abusers and all of that, he was able to jump right in there and accomplish some things. And Lennox became a pro. He was a very damn good one. And then due to some of the flaws he had a setback. But then he got one of the best coaches in the game to help him go forward and restart things. And he went on to become an undisputed champion and virtually having beat every man he's been in the ring with professionally. A very great legacy that he left behind. Retired, undisputed champion of the world. And hasn't come back. No lure of the money and all of that. And people never liked him while he was the champ and while he was becoming champ and all of that. They were, oh, that guy, you know, he's too regal. He's this, that, he's that. He was whooping people's ass. He even whooped my favorite fighter, Evander Holyfield. Whooped him. But you can get mad or you can try to get better. And instead of trying to be better, like Lennox did, these guys find excuses and everything, and that's how they survive and thrive. But the truth is just around the corner to always expose what you're doing. And boxing is a great sport to show you that. What else you got, K-Rod?
Yeah, like I was gonna say, everything that you said is definitely true. It's even similar to like what my wrestling coaches back in high school told me. You know, whenever you lose, you know, always take it as a motivational tool to always get better. And, every time when I did lose, I actually ended up becoming way better from, like, my last performances. I think that's just something that not a lot of people in boxing want to be honest about because they just think, like, winning is, like, the ultimate edict that people religiously follow because people are too afraid of understanding what it's like to lose. But it's like losing is a part of life, so it's like you can't really be mad that you lost. It's just that people don't understand that losing, you know, like it's a developmental learning curve that, you know, anybody goes through in life, and people try to use that, you know, as like a means to say like, you know, if you lose once, then, you know, you're automatically garbage, you know, you should stop boxing. And I think they just feel like enamored with like the Floyd Mayweather undefeated record mantra to think that, you know, you have to just be undefeated, and then it's like, you know, once you lose, it's like you're automatically terrible. And it's like most of us the idiots that talk down on fighters that are actually good versus the ones that are not good that shouldn't have losses on their record. These are the same people that will never, you know, walk into the ring and actually fight because it's like you guys don't know what it's like to be put in a situation where you think you're winning, but then that one big shot or just that one occurrence within the match can easily take you down, and you know things happen. Like nobody's invincible. You know, coming into any combat sport match, but it's like you have to understand that you have to be confident in your abilities and skill sets and your mental fortitude that whatever happens in there, you give it like your best shot to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, just a quick moment to acknowledge a super chat donation from Big Dog Willie, who says, Usyk versus Holyfield. I got Usyk by KO. Who you got? Laugh out loud. Thank you, Big Dog Willie, for your super chat donation. And the mere fact of how you ended your message in that super chat donation, you've already provided an answer. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Go sit down. Based on what you just said there, K-Rod, why do you think I play this often on my show?
We are all ready to win, just as we are born, knowing only life. It is defeat that you must learn to prepare for.
You see? There's a reason that we have what's referred to as polar opposites in our existence. It is to provide a playing field, a level playing field, common ground, where you have opposites. Part of that process is being able to know that there's something on the opposite side of what your thought process may be, what your action may be, and it's the law of universe. So to win is something that can feed the ego. It can release endorphins and things like that within you that just make you feel good about yourself. It's like, and it also can give you a false sense of things. But when you lose, what does that do to you? It saddens you. Sometimes it breaks your heart. Sometimes it makes you feel low. You get even a little depressed. But do you not really get in touch with your feelings when those things begin to happen? And if you come up in the proper environment where you're taught the proper things, ethical things, you learn that that's a part of the process, and you learn to work through that. You're not supposed to always win. You're not supposed to always lose. I want to acknowledge a couple of brothers that came into the show. We got JC out there. Boxing and Barbecue, my man, is out there saying, morning, Stormy. Think we got Hamza S. We got Mentu B. Hotep says, salute, Sensei. That's true. The best are not fighting the best. Votes UK in the building saying, afternoon, Stormy B. Man in chat. Mr. Pac-Man 216 in the building. What's good with you? Saying, salute, big dog. Keith James out there saying, salute, Uncle Stormy B. Man. The Seafood on giving us this intellectual property of life and boxing lessons. Thank you, Sensei. Hey, man, I appreciate that, Keith. Lambros K is out there saying, morning, everyone. Salute, Stormy. Anthony Bolton saying, salute. And Anthony Bolton, this is for Big Dog Willie. He says, Holyfield will dog walk Usyk. Demon Kennedy is out there saying, salute, Stormy. Keith James again is back out there. And Lambro says, used to think David Haye was really going to be the next Holyfield. He performed great at Cruiser and the heavyweight division was looking wide open. Yeah, but David Haye missed out on some points that you guys do not acknowledge about Holyfield that separated him. Character goes a long way. David Haye, not so much in that department. You've seen it. You've seen examples of it. Big Dog says, Sensei favorite fighter is Holyfield, so I had to poke fun. Yeah, but that just goes to show how smart Big Dog Willie is. Don't they tell you, when you go to the zoo, don't feed the bear? And in real life, you don't poke the bear, huh? Otherwise, you see that scene from that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and that bear got a hold of his ass? Did you all ever see that movie? I'm going to tell you something. Go watch that movie and definitely see that scene. Or you can Google it on YouTube. Leonardo DiCaprio and the bear. Huh? And see how that bear had his way with his ass. Big Dog Willie, take note. Huh? Because I'll tell you something. It ain't something that you want to see or experience. Huh? It ain't. Because at the end of the day, bro, when those things happen like that, when those things happen,
Fucking with me, you gonna get knocked the fuck out. I'm a knockout artist, baby.
yes. Salute to I Am Trill Will out there. He's saying salute Stormy B man. Lewis Hinton says David is not a man of his word. Yeah. And Lambro says so true. Holyfield had real faith in God and his skills. Yeah. Listen, man. I was made for this. Last thing there, K-Rod, what you got, man? Is that it? How about I throw something at you, K-Rod, and you give me your critique on it? How about Kiko Martinez's performance over Jordan Gill? How about that? Did you see it?
Yeah. Jordan Gill is like equivalent to like basically Amir Khan, but just like a horrible version of him. Like every time he got hit, he just looked like he was about to die. Credit to Kiko. He did a good job. I'm never too high on that many Spaniard fighters, but he definitely made great improvements, and he destroyed Jordan Gill very bad. And that's a good victory. So congratulations.
You sound a little sour about it, K-Rod. But let me say this, that Mr. Martinez is a veteran in the sport. He has taken his opportunities to win titles a couple of times. He's lost a few times. And he's still competitive in this sport. If these young fighters brought more to the table like he did when he was a young man, he wouldn't have a chance. But because things are lacking, I talk about this all the time and have said it even in this show. It's the quality that they bring that don't allow them to be at the level where they need to be. So Martinez can still thrive at the age of 37, beating these guys the hell up. Kid Galahad, Jordan Gill, who's next? He wants Lee Wood. It's interesting. I love it. Because life's lessons and history is happening right in front of your eyes. And people are very dismissive of it. Just like you sound a little sour about it, instead of taking it from the point of what I'm talking about, be upset at these guys of today. They don't keep their hands up. They carry their left very low. They have no knack for being able to fend, defend, ward off, slip, bob, weave, catch, shoot, pull, counter, all of that. They don't have the knack for all of these things that would make them a complete fighter. And then they want to get mad at the world and people like myself for pointing it out. In a time when men walk around with their pants hanging below their ass, showing their underwear, you got the nerve to get angry at me. The world is backwards as hell at this time. Salute to Kiko Martinez. Keep teaching. Is that it?
Yeah, I just wanted to just finalize to say that I wasn't, hating on the Kiko performance. Like he did a good job. It's just that I was like very surprised that Jordan actually like got dominated, and I'm not like a fan of him. Like I never thought he was gonna be anything, but yeah, Kiko just pulverized him. So
Yeah. He did what he was supposed to do. I said, as I was watching the fight, his corner should throw the towel in because he couldn't get out of the way of punches. And they were scheduled, I believe, it was an eliminator bout, so I think they were scheduled for 12. And he was getting busted up by the third round. His face was starting to come apart and look like hamburger. So I'm like, why are they gonna just allow him to keep getting knocked down and beaten up where you can actually beat the fight out of a guy and he'll never be the same? You throw that towel in there and you say, you know what, we surrender, but we'll come back another day. We got to go back to the drawing board. We put our kid in too tough. Remember, it wasn't long ago that I said, I think it was after the Conor Ben debacle where that fight got canceled. I said, who in this era says it's on me? I fucked up. I apologize. I was wrong. You don't hear none of these guys say that. The fingers is always pointing away from them. Foolishness. Yeah. Absolute foolishness. We'll take this moment out to have a commercial break from our brother, the Focus Ball.
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the Focus Ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a Focus Ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a Focus Ball. When you train with the Focus Ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit, making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the Focus Ball now.
Salute to our brother, Healer the Teacher. As that product is out there, for those of you who are participating in combat sports, hey, it's a great piece of equipment to add to your library. So salute to Healer. So yeah, that's about it, K-Rod. If you got one more thing to say or whatever, please go ahead and offer it up. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and open the lines up and see if we can get some more calls in.
Yeah, I was just gonna say shout out to Jermaine Ortiz. Hope he, makes a great valiant comeback, and also shout out to William Zepeda. Good fight with Jojo Diaz, and that's about it. Thank you for having me on, and shout out to the fight, DBT, PWT, and long live Puerto Rico.
Hey, hold on, K-Rod. Let me ask you this: Did I ask you if you had watched the Taylor fight, or did you not have anything to say about that?
Oh, I watched like a little bit of it, but I just tuned it off. I didn't watch that much of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
What about Jojo Diaz and William Zepeda?
Yeah, I watched that. Zepeda, he looked sharp. I thought Jojo could have done something to win the fight, but he looked a little bit shaky. But Zepeda, he dominated him.
Yeah, and he looked a little too energetic for me. I don't know if you picked up on that or not, but he just appeared to be a little energetic for my liking.
Yeah, that black fighter that fought on the Jake Paul card, Ash himself, he would definitely knock out Zepeda, hands down. Zepeda, he's just wide open for straight rights and hard lefts. But I think if that fight would ever be made in the future, I think Zepeda would get knocked out by him.
Yep. That boy is wide open like a hooker's legs, man. I'm telling you. But yeah. So anyway. But yeah, I appreciate your call, man. Thanks for calling, and call in again. We'll see you next time.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Peace. Yes, sir. Good call in. Yeah, and salute to I Am Trill Will. Revenant is the name of that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. I couldn't think of it at the moment, but that bear got a hold of his butt, man. That was one of the most realistic scenes. I wondered if Leonardo got hurt making that. That bear was on his ass. So Big Dog Willie, keep poking them bears, bruh. Keep poking them. Watch what happens. Huh? Lambro says, Conor Ben versus Eubank would have been like Margachito versus Kermit Cintron, Cotto. He cut their career short without a doubt. Yeah, man. Get these cheaters up out of here, man. Get them out. Get these guys out of the sport. And get their promoters who covering over them and everything, too. Get them the hell up out of here, too. The lines are open. Feel free to call in if you guys got something to say, something you want to talk about. Last night's fights. You guys are laying low. It says we got 38 people out there. What's going on? What's truly going on? Laying low. Let's see here. I'm gonna pull up something here. Box rec. This kid that fought Kiko Martinez yesterday, Jordan Gill, his record is now 27-2 with 1 draw. He has 8 KOs. So he was not a tremendous puncher by any means. Now you take Kiko Martinez. (44-11) now after yesterday's fight with 2 draws, 31 knockouts. He's been stopped 5 times out of those 11 losses. He's 36. I said he was 37, so he's 36 years old. His last TKO loss was to Josh Warrington in March of this year. Prior to that, he had defeated Kid Galahad, another up-and-coming prospect for the IBF title. He also lost by TKO in May of 2019 to Gary Allen Russell Jr. And that was for the WBC featherweight title. Back in February of 2016, he lost to Leo Santa Cruz, a 5th round TKO. In 2017, May of 2017, he lost to Josh Warrington, a majority decision. The reason that I'm mentioning Kiko's record and his losses like that is because if you look at who he has lost to, quality fighters, and the losses are spread out. So that means that he may take a setback, but he'll go back and retool and come out and get back on the path of winning. These guys of today do not want to take a loss. It's almost like a guy that don't, you did something wrong, and as a kid, you did something wrong, and you trying to get out of an ass whooping by your parents. You can't escape ass whoopings in life, man. Either the world will deal with you, or your exclusive circumstance will deal with you. It's a reality, man. What is this? Dr. Professor in the building saying salute Stormybman in the chat. King Corleone is in the building. Lambro says not sure who fought last night. Crazy week. Got a funeral to go to. Just seeing what's happening in boxing. I'm out of the loop. Sorry about you having to go to a funeral, man. So nobody wants to call. It says we got 37 people in there now. A couple folks have dropped off. It's the call-in show. Call on in. What you got for me? Okay, we got 214 in the house. What's on your mind? Who's calling? 704 Joe. What's good with you this morning, bro? How you doing?
Doing all right. Wait a minute. Home, welterweight champion of the world.
Okay.
I got a few questions, Stormy.
Yes, sir.
One was the back end. I know what the back end is, but could you explain a little more the back end? I always hear people say they want the back end. Get back end money. Could you explain that a little more?
No, I will not explain that to you because I don't talk pockets and wallets and stuff like that with the fighters. See, that's the thing. I want you to understand. If you want to talk the X's and O's of boxing, I am your guy. If you want to talk about all that other stuff that leads to dissension and arguing and bickering and everything about these fighters, what they do and what they make and don't make and this and that or whatever, there are other platforms that will entertain that. But I don't have anything to say about that because it's of disinterest to me.
Okay, well, I'll go to my next question.
Okay.
Fighting off the back foot.
Yeah.
Fighting off the back foot. Could you explain that?
I'll explain it for you, but since you're coming out here like that on me today, I'm going to ask you, what do you think that means?
Fighting backwards. But you're a coach, so,
No. Hold on. You called, so we're going to make this call work for you. You're going to get a benefit out of this. when I asked you, what do you think it means? And you says fighting backwards. And then but I want you to know, what does fighting backwards mean, sir? Because this is your interpretation. I'm going to help you. Believe me. I ain't going to let you go until I help you. But yeah, what does that mean to you?
Someone's coming at you and you're going backwards, but you're fighting. But you're going backwards. That's what it means.
Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to correct and redirect. Okay. First of all, it's something that people have taken to explaining, or not explaining, but it's something that people have taken to expressing with what they see when they don't really know technically what it means. But it's not so much that you're fighting off of the back foot. Okay. Now, when you take a position in boxing, whether you're orthodox or southpaw, in the gym, you're taught how to advance behind your punches. There's a certain way that you're supposed to stagger step, feint step, moving forward. And you can also do the same thing moving backwards or in retreat. Then there's a side step for an angle that you move. And then there's a different type of a side step that you can do with your back leg to turn your positioning and then turn the opponent that's in front of you in a certain direction, whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on your position, whether you're orthodox or southpaw. Now, fighting off of the back foot would imply that everything that you're doing is with your rear positioning, which is where your balance is coming from, is dominant or prominent. Now, boxing coaches have always said that your feet shouldn't be spread apart wider than your shoulders. They used to take strings and tie your ankles together, with a 2-foot string that's in between. So your balance, you would maintain your balance. If your feet aren't beyond your shoulder width, your balance should be very good. A lot of fighters of today no longer adapt those principles and techniques, which they run into problems as a result of it. Poor balance allow you to get knocked off your feet easier or knocked off balance easier. And sometimes it can affect the power of your punches, negatively, because you're not positioned where you can get proper torque and turn on your punches. Salute to Anwar Willis out there who just subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you, Anwar. Thank you for your subscription. So you got a lot of background noise there, 704 Joe.
Sorry about that. Now, got it in my hand. Got my phone in my hand.
Okay. Yeah. So when you're fighting, it's forward motion, backward motion, side to side. But off the back foot is something that people have typically used as a slang of saying or describing. But it's so much more than that, which is, I don't like to say it myself because I understand that. You know what I mean? It's just like in boxing, when you're going forward as an aggressor, you can be going forward but not be effective in your forward progress or your forward aggression. There are certain things that you have to be able to do to be successful in doing that. And the same as being in retreat. Floyd was a master of utilizing someone's forward progress to him, where he can operate from angles off of that. And then when you just think that you might get ready to corner him, he would slide out to his left. Now, I know this, but why was he so successful at it? Because most fighters don't study that aspect of things. When you are a complete fighter, you know these things. You know that that's something that you have to stop him from doing. Typically, it's when he's getting near the ropes. If you go back and watch his fight with Manny Pacquiao, he did it to Manny every single time. Manny would just about thinking he's getting Floyd near the ropes, and bloop, Floyd would slip up out of there. Now, you guys would call that, oh, he's fighting off the back foot. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So it's like you can draw someone in so you can do something that you want to do. They don't know that you want to do these things, but you're setting the traps for them. And as I watched Diaz and Zepeda last night, I noticed something that was effective for Diaz, and that was his body work on the inside. But he didn't utilize the trappings to bring Zepeda within that range to do so. Zepeda was dominating from mid-range and distance, but not on the inside. And on the inside was Diaz's fight. So what he should have done was maybe do a little bit of the James Toney thing, where you get back near those ropes and make that guy come in, and when he gets within that certain distance, you go to work on him, spin him off those ropes, get him on the inside, wait for the ref to break you all, reset, begin it all over again. Make sure you stick a few stiff jabs in there. When you get to the back when you get back to the center of the ring, make him reset, start this all over again. But you have to be conditioned to do these things. Remember, styles make fights. Zepeda overwhelmed him with activity, but he was wide open for punches all night long. And just because you can hit a guy on the chin and he might be able to take a few of them, doesn't mean you just keep hitting him with that. You hit him with something else. Because if you know you can hit him on the chin, why not set the big shot up for the chin by doing other things to divert his attention elsewhere? So in doing these things that I'm explaining, it can appear to be back foot central, but it's not necessarily that. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily define it as that. Footwork is so important in the sport of boxing. Our brother Kurt Sugar used to like to say, a fighter without footwork is like a blind man without a cane. You know? Yeah. So it's that same thing. If you are not able to do what you want to do, you have to find the means to make that work for you. And sometimes, given the illusion of retreating under the guise of that being the physical action, you moving backwards or whatever, could be just that very thing. A fighter who is well versed in cutting off the ring, you're going to have to do something outside of that. That can be a part of what you do, but you're going to have to do something outside of that. And that's typically forward progress first and move off of your forward progress. That throws them off. It's called ring generalship. But a lot of fighters of today aren't versed and practiced in that, especially if you're fighting the same kind of fighters all the time. Somebody used Tank Davis Kamara, the stepping razor. He used Tank Davis's name in the chat just a moment ago. Tank has fought so many fighters that don't have footwork, when he gets in there with a guy who has footwork, he's going to have problems. And guess who has footwork?
Yeah. Ain't.
Yeah. You see?
Two more. Yeah.
Do you think?
Two more quick things.
Oh, go. No. Go ahead.
I got two quick questions. Because, I know you got other people to talk to. You talked about accountability, man. And I just want to say, man, these fighters, they want to blame the coach. They want to blame the trainer. They want to blame the referee, the nutritionist. They want to blame everybody except themselves, man. I agree with that all together, man. All together.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, hey, I didn't prepare, I didn't train, or I lost,
Accountability means so much because when you take accountability, that's the beginning of setting the stage to improve from where you are. If you do not take accountability, how can you take counsel on how to improve when you haven't acknowledged that there's a problem to begin with? Right?
True. Yeah. One more thing, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Like you said, when we was growing up, man, when you played football, Pop wanted football. I tried. I was terrible. Man, your parents paid for your uniform and everything. And if it was a close game, something like that, you didn't play.
Right.
You didn't play. Today, everybody gets to play. Everybody gets to play. I don't care how close the game is. You have to let that child play. But when we was coming up, my uniform never got dirty. Never got dirty. But that's the way it was, man. That's the way it was, man. That's the way it was. I'm through. That's enough for me.
But let me say this. Let me say this about that though. Even though you didn't play, and you knew you probably weren't gonna play, didn't you still try extra hard because you wanted to try to prove to your coach, right? It's like you had some kind of a desire. I want him to notice that I'm trying. I'm doing my best, right?
Yeah, I tried. He let me in a blowout one time. Played the blowout. That's it. That's the only time I saw the field, man. But hey, that was football, man. That's the way it was, and I didn't have a problem with it.
And again, but that's right. But that's why I'm saying, imagine now that if you know you just gonna get in the game regardless, are you gonna still give that same kind of effort? No.
You don't have to because I'm getting in.
Right. And the guys who are really good in the old school way of thinking, they're gonna stay on top of their game because they want to keep you on the sideline. You know what I mean? But nowadays, guys are like, shoot, man, I don't care. I'll get mine. You know what I mean? Which is a total selfish mindset. It really is. That's why when something doesn't go right, you have these guys who complain, and it's everyone else's fault outside of them. And that's horrible, man, because guess what? We got world conflict going on right now between nations. And I hate to say it this way, but it's very true, 704, and everybody that's out there listening in this chat right now. Some of these world leaders, they are old enough to know the old school values, but they have adopted the new school mindset. So ego, pride, all of that has come into play for them. And that competition, where your participation trophy mindset has set in with them, which leads them to make poor decisions in their leadership, which is why the world is on fire right now. It's a firecracker ready to just pop, because no one has the sensibility to be accountable, but everyone wants to be right.
Right.
And you're dealing with nations of people, their lives, not just your selfish life, because you built underground bunkers or you have places that you have mapped out where you can escape if something gets hot for you. But the world don't belong to you. It belongs to us. And see, we've gotten away from that, far away from that. And that's the difference. Remember what I said, the principles of what I talk about in boxing, doing it in the gym, you could take it and apply it to everyday life outside of the gym, outside of the ring. Now tell me I'm wrong.
No, it's parallel. They go hand in hand. Like I said, man, we didn't have like fourth place ribbons. There were no fourth place ribbons. There were no participation with ribbons. You had first, second, and third. And at one time it was first and second.
Yeah.
There was no third. Yeah, it was first and second. Then third, then it went on and on. Today's time, Stormy, you can't even say, I am the man of my house.
No.
That's sexist or that's wrong to say something like that. But I'm from the old school, man.
Oh, they didn't got to the point where they say you can't hardly say you a man no more.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I'm not go on and on, man, but I'm gonna listen, man. I love the show, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for your call. All right.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Salute to 704 Joe from the hometown of Earl the Truth, Spence Jr. Yeah. Thank you for your call, man. Great call. Always good to hear from you. 704 Joe. Yes, sir. But yeah, man, this is what we're doing here. You know, we try to talk about the sport, what the sport has to offer, and what it really means. Put this stuff together. Yeah, so this is where we are. This is where we are. Any other calls? You guys out there? We're down to 24. I know some other people have gone live and people want to show their support. So it is what it is. But I'm still loving my new sound bite with my man Mel Charlo.
Fucking with me, you gonna get knocked the fuck out. I'm a knockout artist, baby.
I don't know why that's so damn funny to me, man. That's it. Yeah, damn Charlo is crazy, man. You know? And I got this other one that he do, where he says, oh, you guys remember, because all of that was from that Brian Custer interview. And he said,
shut up, take a little bit less money, be quiet.
Man, that brother is crazy as hell. But I like him, though. Okay, we got 978 in the building. Who's calling? What's on your mind? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Stormy, it's Lambros K calling in.
Hey, Lambros, how you doing, bro? Good afternoon. I'm doing pretty good. Just tripping on my new sound bites from Jamel Charlo, man. Young brother.
You got a delay. I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see I got my screen's a little delay right now. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Now I can actually see. Yeah, it's like about a minute delay.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you, who do you think right now in boxing is the best, or like, you know, some of the best trainers, and why? Like, who have you seen the most progress with, and who's, you know, who basically just, you know, right now has, you know, the best. Like, you know, I've seen Dante fighting, you know, in a way that I'm excited about with the Robert Arenas fight. So I just want to know, like, you know, who's his trainer, and what do you think, you know, they're doing, and as far as who's the most effective, just what are your opinions?
Well, Malik Scott is training Deontay now, and though he was not long ago a world-class, you know, heavyweight fighter himself, he's elected to go the route of being a trainer. And I think a great deal of that has to do with his relationship with Deontay and how he felt that he can assist him. But he's a very intellectual mind when it comes to the sport. So to put him up there with the best of trainers right now is kind of premature, because he's really just getting going with this. But I think in time, if he decides to be that, he's gonna be special, because he has an analytical mind toward the sport that channels old trainers from a different era. Other trainers that are very good right now, you still got the Ronnie Shields, you know, you got, you know, Derek James is definitely doing some good things. And remember, Derek James was not too long ago a recent, you know, world-class fighter himself. And when he decided to start working with someone to train, Earl Spence, people approached him. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was like, oh, I'm just going to train people. So he's just had some great success based on whom he's been able to work with. And he's worked with world-class fighters right off the bat, which is great. You take a guy like Freddie Roach, who come up under the tutelage of Eddie Futch and is a former fighter himself, but he doesn't acknowledge Eddie Futch. It's almost like they never worked together, that he never came up. You know what I'm saying? So, and then when I found out when he was on HBO and he and his brother and how they were really and how they feel toward so-called, quote, minority people, that really made me sour on him, because even if he works with you, you have to know how he really thinks and feels for you as a person. I wouldn't want someone like that around me at all. And it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that he was fortunate to be around Eddie Futch and someone with more class was not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
you know what? That just reminded me. I totally forgot about that. in Rios. When he, it was the trainer, what's his, hold on, again, Robert Garcia. So something out of nowhere, just talking crazy. It was their turn to use the gym and just saying,
oh yeah. That kind of stuff. But I'm glad we saw it because that just puts everything out there. So understand, you have no respect. Why expect respect? You know what I mean? But then we got, still some old trainers that are still around, like Nacho Berestein, who is, oh my goodness, man.
I can't believe he's still around?
Yeah, he's still around. And then you got Al Mitchell, people like that. There are a number of trainers, the names you may have heard and known, and then there are some that we haven't heard of yet because they're kind of in the backdrop and they don't want to necessarily be out front and be their name and lights and all of that kind of thing. They just produce, quality work. But the thing about it is the best of them usually have guys who reflect what they've garnered from the tutelage and leadership, meaning like the character of the fighters. When you see fighters with firm, strong character, a lot of that comes from who's training them and dealing with them and things of that nature. And we're talking about before fame and everything, because fame can taint people, but usually, like, not to point anything out in particular, but I'll go back to this once again. Michaela Mayer, she's a quality fighter and has really gotten better and better at the stages of her career, from the amateurs on through pro. And guess who her trainer is? Al Mitchell. You see? And he didn't even want to train her. He didn't believe in training women. She won him over with her work ethic. And there are interviews out there which he has given that she's brought more to the gym in motivation, aspiration, incentive, all of that stuff that some of the names of fighters that that he's worked with never had. And he said that about her. That's one of the highest compliments that you can get.
I've actually seen that in the gym. I've actually seen, I was training out of a gym in Somerville, Massachusetts, and there was a fighter at the time in the UFC called Patrick Cote. He had a girlfriend who was about 5'1", and you can hear people hitting the pads, and you can hear, someone's in the ring hitting the pads. And we just heard somebody slamming the pads, and it was so quick and so sharp and so strong that everybody had to just turn around, stop, jump rope, and everybody stopped what they were doing. And it was Patrick Cote's girlfriend was also the lightweight champion in Canada at the time. And I swear, all the dudes at the gym, just from then on, just started jump roping a little bit quicker, hitting the bag a little bit faster. Like, everybody was, it was funny because that was the first time I'd seen actually a female. I was like, wow, she could knock me the fuck out. Like, she could really, excuse me for swearing. But that was the first time I was thinking, like, wow, that's, it looks like a girl. She just didn't look, imposing, and she just, was pretty much, just had the whole gym kind of just, working a little bit harder just to,
Isn't that amazing? And let me tell you something. When I was, in the gym and active with people training, there were everyone from 7-year-olds on up to people who were in their 40s in the gym with us. And we had a few ladies in there that were college students and stuff like that. Those were some of the most fun people to work with because they were in there to learn something and they were focused. And it was a pleasure working with them because it's like you wish you could give that to certain individuals. You know what I mean? Exactly. Someone that you would love to see have that type of approach to things. But see, we're living in a time where, again, like, people are talking about the feminist movement and this and that. Men have forced women in some instances to step up. They really have, because men have been poor. Now, there have been certain circumstances that have led to even that which, you know, it's a whole, you know, it's a big cavernous ditch to fall into, to have a discussion about. But what I'm getting at is simply that if you can't be inspired by, like, most of the show here, I've had Clarissa on my screen here training in the gym on a loop. But like I said, I'd rather watch this woman working out and sparring and shadow boxing and doing her floor exercises than to watch some guys fight. And I don't say that. Yeah,
it reminded me of just inspiration, like just the inspiration of like, oh, that's a female doing that. That's not even a man doing that.
Yeah.
Female, you know, and it's just.
And I have loops of Deontay, you know, working in the gym with Malik and stuff. But I put Clarissa up today for a reason, because it's like the energy coming off of that. It's amazing. We had John David Jackson, her coach, who's also on this clip, on Drew Titan's show last Sunday. And I talked to him about this. I said, man, you know, you're doing great work. John David is another good coach. You're talking about these coaches, and he has, listen, if you go back and look at John David's record as a fighter, he was very, very good. And there were people who avoided him. Terry Norris's people kept Terry away from him. Terry would have fought him, but Terry's management kept him away from John David.
Yeah, that's how he fights. But I didn't know he was in Terry Norris's weight class. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was junior middleweight and middleweight champion, John David.
Okay.
Yeah. So that era it produced a lot of great fighters, man. And the trainers of those fighters from that era were exceptional, which is why you got such exceptional talent.
Well,
But
that was going to be my second question. That was going to be my, because I'm thinking, like you said, it's you know, it's a whole other issue to get into. But it's aside from what we see on television and movies and stuff like that, you think it's like a generation of not just boxers with, you know, because I see, like, you know, you said like the heart. Like I'm talking like, you know, like watching, you know, back when it was, you know, Terry Norris, or you're watching a fight with Evander Holyfield, or, you know, even like a Roy Jones when he would fight in his era with the Bernard Hopkins, and there was just certain fighters that just, you could see just, you know, it's, I mean, and going back before that, it was just, I mean, there's too many people to name, where it was in the mid-90s, early 90s, I remember watching this energy, and then you'd see a whole bunch of Hall of Fame trainers, and I'm thinking, is it the trainers too? Do you think that it's kind of like, you know, not really pushing their fighters, or do you think it's the social media generation, or what is it? Because I'm seeing a drop off, and like you said, that energy of just not just be good at offense, but when, you know, the chips are down, how are you gonna come back? You know, when a guy's, you know, giving you a tougher test, I'm seeing a lot of fighters now looking at the ref, where before they wouldn't, where before it's like, you know, you'd see him mixing it up and you'd see a good fight. Like, do you think it's more like on the trainer or on the fighter, or, you know, 50-50?
I think a lot falls on the trainer when it comes to the fighter being in control of himself, the principles of discipline, because boxing is a martial art. Now, if you went to a studio to learn martial arts, the Sifu of that dojo is supposed to present you with the doctrines of what his gym, what you have to follow, the policies there, before you even get started. Now, of course, they'll charge you fees and everything like that. It's up to you to determine, are you getting something out of the experience in learning there? But if the experience doesn't involve self-development, get the hell out of there. Because, like I often say about my approach, what I give you, you will be able to take that and apply that not just to this physical activity that you participate in, but it should be of a nature of cultivation for you and your character as a person, that when you leave this space and you walk outside those doors, you can apply that to everyday life as well.
That's exactly what I like to tell people about boxing, or when I did tap boxing when I was in Somerville, I would say the same thing. I'm like, it's you surprise yourself, and the trainer will bring something out of you, and they'll tell you the same thing. Like, this transcends the ring. This goes into every category of your life. Like, if you can surprise yourself physically, like, think about what you can do with just, doubts you have in your own mind. Like, think about, if you don't have a left hand and you don't think you ever will, then it turns out your left hand is your best punch. Your left hook, your jab is the strongest tool in your arsenal. Then when you surprise yourself, you can take that to, outside of the ring and apply that in every category of life, So when you see boxing, that's why I love, like you said, it's the most comparable to life.
Yeah.
What happens in the ring is most comparable to every other facet of life itself, which is why I love boxing. And I've seen a generation where that's not really, it's kind of just about, like money, fame, getting, the Twitter followers or something like that. Like, that's more important than your wins, Like, it's just it's a weird energy and a weird time. And that's why I like the Deontay Wilder, the throwback fighters. And I wonder, is it the trainers or the fighters, or, but that's a whole sociological issue, I guess, I mean, that's as far as, what's happening and why. But it's just the energy is definitely different. And I'd say Deontay's a perfect example of that, how you can take what you learn in the ring and apply it in every facet of your life, not just in the ring.
Yeah. So, and that whole thing about what you give to the world, meaning that what your mentor gave you should be something very positive to offer. And then even if you suffer a setback, it's how you deal with it and overcome it or work through it. Says a lot about your mentor and how they prepared you. This little drill right now that's playing on my screen with Clarissa and John David, if you look at what she's doing there on those mitts, you can actually see what she was doing to Savannah Marshall in the actual live action fight that they had. It was able to transfer over because it's muscle memory. Now, I don't know if this clip was her training preparing for Savannah, but what I do know is I could recognize what she was able to do. The certain drills of combinations that she's throwing, the sequence of how the punches are flowing out and things of that nature, it happened in the fight. This is how you know when something is real. It's just like, you remember the knockout that Earl Spence had over Julian J. Rock Williams, Jamal Charlo, the knockout he had over J. Rock. Remember, J. Rock threw like a 1-2, and he caught the punches and then he turned it into an uppercut. He turned it into an uppercut and caught J. Rock flush and knocked him out because he never saw the punch coming back. But it was something that he had worked on in the gym as a drill. And the funny thing about it was, when he did it, it wasn't planned. It was like muscle memory. He just did it. And it looked great. I mean, if you watch it on slow-mo replay, it was such a great moment. But you can tell from muscle memory, having worked on this is exactly what that was. And you don't see that a lot, but when it happens, you can actually acknowledge it and pay homage to it, because it's one of the things that let you know why the fighters work as hard as they do in the gym. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, George Foreman, I remember they were showing a video of him. Basically, people were saying it was all his power. Like, in technical skills wasn't so much. Like, no. They were showing George Foreman do a 1-2 like that, just a jab, step to the right, or a step to the left, throw a right, and he would do a jab and then a parry where he would slap down the punch you were about to throw, and then use that in his motion, where it's very basic, but at the same time, people wouldn't expect it because they were just thinking he was a slow, plodding fighter, so they weren't expecting a man who's actually, cerebral in timing and just countering and using everything he learned in the gym. And after seeing just certain breakdowns, see, these are things you don't notice until you actually have someone explain it to you. And then when you see it, you're like, oh, that's just, it's just one of those things where, you have to learn that, like you said, muscle memory. You repeat it and do it over and over again.
That's like his victory over Michael Moore, where he won the heavyweight championship for the second time in his life. He said that he set that punch up the entire time, and Michael Moore defiantly said, oh, it was a lucky punch and everything, which is why Michael Moore got knocked out several more times in his career. I will say this. I will say this. When George knocked out Michael Moore, Teddy Atlas was telling him, he was telling Moore in the corner, he was like, the guy is trying to set you up for a big shot. He said, don't let this guy try to carry you at his pace. He said, he's an old truck, be a Ferrari, be faster and get out of there. Don't languish on the inside, this, that, and the other. He was telling more of the correct things. But I'm going to tell you what George did that Teddy didn't talk about that lured Michael into getting hit with that big right hand. Somewhere around the middle rounds, George took some steam off of his punches. And he gave Michael a false sense of thinking that his power was fading, okay? Because he was scoring a lot against George, and George was comfortable enough with what Michael Moore was doing that he didn't feel that Moore would knock him out. You know what I'm saying? You get to that point where you adjust to the guy's power, and well, okay, I'm still going to protect myself and keep myself safe, but I'm not expecting him to be able to catch me with something sneaky or whatever because I'm setting these things up. Now, somewhere around round 9, George started throwing these wide sweeping hooks, left hooks, because Michael Moore was supposed to move to Moore's right, because he's southpaw. Right. If you move to Michael Moore's right, because he's a southpaw, he's moving away from George's right hand. So George started throwing these wide sweeping left hooks, almost like at the top of Moore's head, but not trying to hit him on the jaw. Throw him at the top of his head because Moore would either dip and get under it or step back over to the right. To the left. And so George threw a feeler out there. He threw a 1-2 in the 10th. He threw a feeler out there. He threw a 1-2 with no power on it. And Moore just blocked it. Then he threw a second 1-2, but he put the power behind it. Boom! Lights out. Because when he threw the first one, 1-2, Moore just blocked it and stayed there. George's like, oh, he ain't moving now. So he threw the second one and put that power in behind it. And for those who think that punch wasn't that hard, when you watch the knockout, not only did the punch hit Michael Moore clean in the mouth, across the chin on his mouth, when he fell back on his back, the camera above the ring shows the blood welling up in his mouth as you look at it. And when he tried to get up, he rolled over to his side, and Teddy Atlas had run into the ring already to try to help him, and blood was just pouring out of his mouth. That was not luck. That was experience.
Yeah, Bernard Hopkins too. He would do the same thing. He would have a tempo, and he would throw punches where you would think you knew what Bernard was doing, and okay, you're gonna machine with his punches. And he would do that on purpose. I would see him do that fight after fight, where it was just a guy learning to use his, just like, all right, slow it down. It doesn't need to be every punch doesn't need to be 100 miles an hour. And then when the guy's getting comfortable, calm him.
Yep.
Hopkins would do that too. too. That's why I love Bernard. It was just, people wouldn't see things that, you would see something getting set up, and you're like, oh, I see what he's doing. And then the knockout would either come later or just a beating would ensue. And then, he would get the guy's timing, his rhythm, and it would be, unanimous decision or a knockout later on in the fight.
Right. So that's exactly, what that was. And, people, like I said, there's so much you can learn from the sport of boxing if you knowing what you're looking at, or be put on path of what to properly look at. You know what I mean?
That's why I'm happy to have the overhead view, because Deontay Wilder knocked so many people out so quickly that I moved around it and couldn't, like a Stilker fight, I could not see the punch he hit him with. Like, how do you set that up? And then just 2 seconds later, they show the overhead view. And I'm like, oh, why not just let it roll? The tape roll, just because you can see the whole thing get set up overhead, where it's like, oh, that's what he hit him with the right. I thought he hit him with the left. Like, I didn't know what punch he got him with. Like, he just had him timed at that point, and was comfortable enough that he could jump forward and went right into it.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, man.
But that's it. Want to ask you about the sport and about the training the boxers, and just seeing what your take is on this generation of fighters, just basically the trainers, the fighters, and that energy you were talking about, how it's different now. It's just like people don't prepare for the weathering of the storm that's gonna come eventually.
Yep.
It's like that's what it's a lot of fighters that aren't prepared for that storm.
Absolutely, man. But, this is why, again, I could say it so many times, but this sport is something else, especially when you understand it from the X's and O's standpoint. It's a lot of fun because there's a natural order to things, how things happen and things don't happen or whatever. But you can always learn something with boxing. You can always learn something.
Actually, another great example of that too is just executing the game plan is Barrera versus Prince Nassim Ahmed. Prince Nassim just had bad footwork. He just had the end. He was never, aside from the Kevin Kelly fight, I think it was. Aside from that, I never seen him in a back and forth fight. So when he fought Kelly, I was like, wow, this is gonna be a problem. Like, you can really, you can take a punch, you can get back up, you can fight. And then versus Barrera, it was like, oh no, wait, there's levels, and when you see him into the next level, Barrera, he wasn't even hitting him when Prince Nassim was getting knocked like from ring post to ring post. People were like, oh, he's hurt, and I'm like, no, look at his legs, man. Like, his legs are just in the wrong position. Like, he's not even, like, he's just, he's waiting to throw a knockout punch, and then he'll get counted, and then he's so awkward, he'll just fall back into the ropes, So, like, I thought I saw a beating, and then when I rewatched the fight a few times, I'm like, it was a beating, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. You just seen a guy with footwork, basically, just fighting a guy who just had extremely good technical skills.
Yeah. But hey, man, that's great stuff, man. I'm glad you called in. I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up because it's my time. It's my time I've been in. But I appreciate your call and appreciate what you had to bring in for the show. Don't be a stranger.
You have yourself a good day. I won't, man. I won't. Most definitely give yourself a good day.
So, but we're going to get ready to wrap things up. Thank you again. And catch you on the next one, bro. Peace to you.
Good, man. Take care, man.
You too.
Good, man. Take care.
All right. Tremendous call there from the brother Lambros K. Yeah. And that brings us to the end of our call-in show. It's been a great one. Salute to everybody out there. The calls that came in today, those who participated in the chat, the super chats, the subscribers. I really appreciate everybody supporting. But we're going to get on up out of here. Let you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And shout out to the mighty LDBC. And we catch you guys on the next one. Peace. Everybody stay safe out there.